Welcome back to Shiitake. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing something a little bit out of the ordinary. Well, not that there's that many ordinary things that I do on this channel, but I have actually been really horny for some Nintendo Switch action recently. So I actually was able to get my grimy fingers on the new Nintendo Switch OLED model, and I've had it for about well, how long have I had it now? 3 weeks maybe now? And I just wanted to give my thoughts as a peasant fellow gamer and kind of let you know if I think it's worth it or not. I had the original Nintendo Switch. No, just kidding. I had the second, newer model with like the upgraded battery that was fixed or whatever. I had that model for about a year and a half. I think about a year and a half. I played that thing into the ground with Super Smash Brothers because that was one of the reasons why I was chubby as a child growing up. I really enjoyed that system. I thought it was really fun to play whenever I was like going to the airport and stuff, but I found that I just wasn't playing it very much. So I sold it back in July. But you know, the more I kind of went without my Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, I realized I still get erect for Nintendo. So I decided to do a little digital stakeout the day that this was released, and I was able to get my fingers on one of these bad boys, the Nintendo Switch OLED. Why don't we just start by taking a quick little look at the biggest difference between this system and the old one. The number one biggest difference is that, well, it's an OLED, you know? So the original screen on my old Nintendo Switch, the other models, it's a plastic screen. It's not very vibrant. There's a lot in the handheld experience that's kind of like, it doesn't feel premium. It feels like kind of like a kid's machine, kind of all plasticky. You have a plastic screen, you know, you press on it, it kind of would go in a little bit. I just didn't really feel like it was like Shiitake level. Of course, you don't really notice a difference whenever you're in docked mode, but in handheld mode, you know, you're lying in bed, you want to get blasted with some vibrant colors in your corneas, then this OLED model will do that for you. It will hurt your corneas because there is so much vibrant color getting blasted into your face. So as far as specific differences go, it's really the exact same as far as like the actual capability of the console. Like, there's not really a difference anything like software wise or internals wise other than the OLED screen. Really, that's pretty much the only big difference here is the OLED screen. It's not gonna like play games in 4K or anything like that, but in handheld mode it does have a much better experience. You know, if you do play in handheld a lot, then this could be, you know, a very good upgrade compared to the old one. That being said, you know, just some general specs. It plays games in docked mode in about 1080p. Usually most of them are going to be in 30 FPS for the most part. And then whenever it's in handheld mode, it goes to 720p, which, you know, in a device this small, you know, a 7-inch OLED screen, you're really not going to like... I'm a PC gamer myself personally, so going from like, you know, like 1080p, 144 hertz gaming to this, it's okay because it's handheld and I can play it whenever I'm in my bed. So even though it's in 720p, the fact that I can play like Super Smash Brothers, Fortnite, Saints Row 4, Skyrim, just laying in my bed like a vegetable is kind of enjoyable, you know, because I sit in my office chair all day doing worky things that worky adults do. But the fact that I can just go lay in bed, sit on the couch, you know, put something in my face, you know, blind myself with colors, vibrant colors, you know, it's kind of nice. Next, I would like to just point out the audio and the speakers. So as far as the audio goes, I personally didn't really notice that much of a difference between the old Switch model and this one. They changed the speaker placement around a little bit. Like on the old model, I think they were like really kind of like almost underneath. So on this model, they're facing out, so the sound waves kind of get blasted out more instead of like down, which I think is, you know, a tiny difference just in the placement of the little holes there. I mean, I didn't really recognize much of a difference, but they did change the speaker placement and the audio quality is improved. I mean, it sounds almost the same to me. Another thing they did was they did change the storage. So the internal storage, 32 gigabytes comes on the older models, which is really not enough to Actually, I'm not going to say that. I don't want the FBI raiding me. 32 gigabytes of storage is not really enough to catalog. I'm not going to say that either, actually. 32 gigabytes of storage is not that much for, installing all of these Switch games. So the internal storage, they only bumped it up to 64 gigabytes, which is still not that much. It's still poo. It's just not as poo as the older model. You can, if you're really ambitious, you got a couple $100 to spend, you could throw a 2 terabyte micro SD card in here if you wanted to. Am I going to? No. I have a 256 gigabyte, and that seems to do just fine. And I have a decent library of games, so you don't need to go all out. But expect to definitely need a micro SD card for your storage needs. Next, I would like to point out this Nintendo Switch OLED model is slightly wider than the older models. So what does that mean? Well, that means that if you have a case that's a really tight fit, or if you have a lot of accessories that you like, I know there's the Syndicate. There's a couple accessories that you clip onto the back of this controller, screen protectors, accessories that clip on the back that make make the controllers more comfortable to hold. Anything like that you put your Switch inside of or around your Switch, expect it not to fit, because there's I think it's like a millimeter or something like that wider, and there are quite a few accessories that do not fit the Nintendo Switch OLED model. So keep that in mind. It's a little bit wider, a little bit beefier, a little bit chunkier, a little bit big chungus. So make sure that you prepare your accessories accordingly. So the kickstand on this model is 50,247.4 times better than the old model. So the old model, it was this little tiny flimsy little nipply piece of plastic that just was not enough to really do anything with. I did not feel comfortable putting my Switch anywhere using that little kickstand. But on the newer model, we are greeted with a nice little lightweight aluminum kickstand that swivels all kinds of directions. So you can lay your Nintendo Switch flat like this, you can angle it up like this, put it midway. There's all kinds of new angles to really get your Switch going. So that was a big improvement, because the plastic stand on the old Switch was just absolute garbage. So kickstand, big improvement. Next, battery. Well, I'm getting about 4.5-ish hours to 6 hours, depending on the games that I play. Now, I don't sit there and play 4.5 hours worth of a Switch game like a fat lard, just draining it to nothing. But I do play a little bit, and I have noticed that it does last a good while. Even playing crummy games like Fortnite and using my Ariana Grande skins and stuff like that, I can play for solid 4+ hours on Fortnite. Now, I haven't done 4 straight, because I'm not that big of a loser. Well, actually, maybe I am, but I would say it has solid battery life, though. I would feel comfortable taking this on an entire day of getting on a plane or something and playing Switch as I travel. So I will say, as far as the Joy-Cons go, our nice little white Joy-Cons we have here, nice and white, nice and Joy-Con-y. I will say they have quite the vibrating motors. Well, let's just say if you are looking to spice up the bedroom with your wife, the Nintendo Switch OLED could be the perfect device for you. With Joy-Cons that vibrate like angry woodpeckers in your crotch, these could help spice up your love life to a degree you never thought possible. So I know my marriage, my love life has improved the last 3 weeks significantly, just because we started incorporating the Nintendo Switch OLED into our bedroom practices. So as a married man, as a dad, as a husband, I can tell you, I strongly recommend the Nintendo Switch OLED's vibrating Joy-Cons to spice up your love life and spice up your marriage. You can't go wrong. I kind of am glad I sold my old one and did get the newer one. So I can say I would honestly recommend the Nintendo Switch OLED model if you are horny for Nintendo, looking to spice up the bedroom, and are wanting a more premium experience for your little grimy fingers. Now, I know it's a lot harder for people to find Nintendo Switches right now because all of the dirty scalpers out there that are using little bots on Best Buy and Amazon and all that stuff. And I can tell you, it is possible. So Let me know down in the comments if you'd like for me to share with you my process of how I did not pre-order a Nintendo Switch OLED, but I still was able to buy one the day of the release. Let me know if you want to see a video about that, and I'll show you my process that I followed, that I even recruited my wife for, and we weren't in the bedroom this time. So, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you found some of this information useful, not useful. If you liked the video, then give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, still give me a thumbs up. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you found some of this information useful, not useful. If you liked the video, then give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, still give me a thumbs up. And comment your thoughts on if you think the Nintendo Switch OLED would be worth it for you. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you on the next one. Shiitake out. Erect for Nintendo.